Radical.
Welcome to Comment of the Week, actually of the day. This would have been back in the time of Comment of the Day, I think, in 2019. This was from 4 years ago. I wouldn't be surprised if this was actually in one of those installments of Comment of the Day. Sadly, there is no Comment of the Day anymore. That playlist is gone. Comment Cuts might have this one in there. I'm not sure. That's just yet another series that I have to complete. Comment Cuts. From around this time, this comment was left by the White Sword. Comment Cuts is basically just me taking everything that was left from Comment of the Day, the series that ran all the way through 2019, and basically just taking everything that was left and putting that into one playlist. So if you've ever wondered, if you're new to the channel and you wonder what is Comment Cuts, that I've not added anything to for a long time, Comment Cuts is basically everything that I really have left from Comment of the Day from 2019. Long story short, a lot of those uploads, I had to manually take them down because years ago my channel was attacked by false copyright strikes. And that's a whole story in itself. On that weird 3-year anniversary, it's about 3 years since that happened. Can't believe it's already been 3 years. That was a long time ago. Sometimes I enjoy looking back on the channel. I've been on YouTube for a long time now. And I really love the fact that there are people that have written amazing comments to me. So I feel like, in a way, all these comments are mine, all these wonderful, amazing comments. They're mine. They're on the channel, So here's one. Might be one of the best comments on that upload from several years ago, Angry Joe, the Critic versus Criticism. That was from now 5 years ago. That was near the very beginning when I was hitting my stride. And that was the type of upload you really can't do on YouTube anymore. Well, not without, fear of getting a copyright strike. In fact, Joe Vargas, if he wanted to, I don't think he would, because he would get a lot of bad press from it. If Joe Vargas felt like he wanted to, Joe Vargas could copyright strike that because it has a lot of clips from his channel. I used to do that all the time, right? Joe Vargas, Review Tech USA, Alpha Mega Sin. In the very beginning of my critical satire, I used to actually take a lot of clips from those channels. And nowadays, a lot of people do it. But I feel like, back half a decade ago, I was really a bit of an innovator when it came to doing that. But I don't really do that anymore. But yeah, Critic versus Criticism. I remember spending like a half a night getting that one perfect. And anyone that thinks that I can't do any editing, I did that upload in half a night on one of the world's worst editing softwares. But I made that work, I just don't do that kind of stuff anymore. I've stalled long enough. Will I have enough time? I'm already at 3:23. Let's get through this comment right here. And again, this is just a consolation prize for a lot of you that are waiting for me to, restart Comment of the Week. This is Comment of the 4 years ago from the White Sword. And they said, I'm way late here, but overall a nice vid. One point of inaccuracy, however, an individual YouTuber disabling comments isn't necessarily a sign of them being a thin-skinned individual. This is a fallacy that needs to be acknowledged. For a good example of why that is, check out Total Biscuit's announcements back in the day when he disabled comments on some of his work at one point. If you know who Total Biscuit was, may he rest in peace, then you know he was by no means a thin-skinned YouTuber. He dealt with near incessant volley of rather harsh and at times immature critiques from individuals possessing a dislike of his particular approach and his opinions, not to mention the small but vocal minority that simply piled on the hate. Again, he states in one of his vids that the internet can be horrible and vicious to an extreme. In his words, hearing F you, F you, F you, F you over and over again every day for years can wear down even a veteran YouTuber with polish and grace in normal circumstances. Now, even as I say this, I acknowledge agreement with many of your points, and Joe's recent behavior is not acceptable in my mind. However, neither is his behavior atypical or surprising in any capacity given knowledge of his position. I have nothing against you, Rick, but you have a tiny, in comparison, few thousand subs. Joe has several million. This does not excuse his behavior, and again, I agree with your points, but it must be considered that he deals with more trash talk and more gross number of people speaking negatively about him in a week than you do in a year. And I repeat, any person under stress of dealing with negative interaction for extended periods of time can have a negative reaction. That's just how it is. So in summary, yes, I agree with you here. And yes, I wish Joe would take a deep breath and address the problems around him, but it is unreasonable, and I would add irresponsible for someone to critique his reactions and actions absent understanding of the fire under him and the context surrounding the situation. I'm sure you did your research. I'll grant you the benefit of the doubt here, but I do hope everyone does this so an intelligent, reasonable discourse on the subject is possible, even now, months later, after all this. There's more. I don't know if I have time to really go into more. The rest was about movie 2988. Now, if I was able to be lucky enough to be graced with criticism like this from the White Sword, I would have no problem. And he nailed some great points here, because I can only imagine, granted, worth it, not worth it, that someone like Joe Vargas has had for years with his, giant following, giant YouTube channel. I can only imagine what that person would have to deal with if they were in their comment section a lot regularly, right? I don't think they are. Joe probably has a staff of people. I'm sure he has a staff of people. Now, me, I run a one-person show here. And tonight I've had to, trim the hedges and deal with one person that pretty sure they came back as other people. They think they're slick, but it's one of the advantages at this point of having a smaller traffic channel is you kind of can figure out who's coming by. And I kind of like that right now. But when you're a bigger channel, in periods of time in 2019, 2020, I was nothing on the level of Angry Joe as far as, views and all that kind of jazz. But, it can get straining on you to see those kind of comments. For instance, I would critique YouTubers, and then it would be fairly reasonable. And then I would get a lot of these people from these bigger channels that would come by, and they would leave those kind of comments. F you, F you, F you, F you. What's your deal? What's your problem, And I would have to go through all these comments and reply to all these comments. And that didn't give me much time to reply to great comments from the White Sword. So when I get that, I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of deal with that, because I would rather spend my time responding to amazing comments and not spending my time responding to morons and idiots. Also, Penguin Wizard, I will apologize, because one of your comments, your replies to one person that has been dealt with and removed from the channel, I had to remove that because it was in the comment thread. So any of you, if you see me talking to somebody that is a moron that I cannot correct, I do try. The White Sword, this is a great comment, and you really hit some great points. And when I see a comment like this, it makes me sit back and think about it. That's what I love about getting comments like this.